Joining us now, Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. As you heard, the president says the U.S. will not be making, in his words, security guarantees to Ukraine beyond very much, close quote. How do you interpret that?
Well, this is an effort to pressure Zelensky into giving up something for nothing. And I have to say this on top of the resolution at the United Nations where the United States sided with Russia, betrayed Ukraine, is one of the most shameful incidents in modern history. I think millions and millions and millions of Americans watching this not only disagree with the president, but maybe for the first time are just downright ashamed of the president because we have betrayed an ally. We've not only betrayed an ally, but we've betrayed our principles. Are we to be nothing except transactional now? We have no commitment to democracy, no commitment to our allies. It's all going to be about the money. That seems to be Donald Trump's orientation. But what a sad chapter of our history.
What do you see, Senator, as the purpose of this minerals deal that President Trump is expected to sign with the Ukrainian President Zelensky Friday at the White House?
Well, I think probably from Donald Trump's point of view, he hopes that this will help get his hands on some of the mineral wealth of Ukraine in exchange for nothing. So what's in it for Zelensky? I have to imagine the only thing in it for Zelensky is maybe trying to improve somewhat his relationship with this hostile U.S. president who seems so beholden to Vladimir Putin. Frankly, I think it's a difficult errand for Zelensky. He has been really Churchillian in his leadership through these 3 years of war. Ukrainians have made just tremendous sacrifices, and to be reduced to this by his most important ally, the United States, coming hat in hand with some kind of fig leaf offer of the mineral wealth of his country in exchange for little or nothing. It is really just tawdry, but it is, what this administration has reduced our allies to.
On another very sensitive subject, Senator, I want to get your reaction to President Trump's response today when asked about sending another "What did you do last week?" email to hundreds of thousands of federal employees around the country, including, of course, in California. Watch this.
You mentioned you're interested in doing another round of this email. When would you like to see that? What would be the deadline? And this time, would it be mandatory?
I think Elon wants to, and I think it's a good idea because, those people, as I said before, they're on the bubble. You got a lot of people that have not responded, so we're trying to figure out, do they exist? Who are they? And it's possible that a lot of those people will be actually fired. And if that happened, that's okay, because that's what we're trying to do. This country has gotten bloated and fat and disgusting.
What do you make of that, Senator?
Well, I think President Trump's description of bloated and fat may be a good description of the White House and its modus operandi. But what this really is just an effort to denigrate and demean people who are working hard. Some have worked as a career in the service of the country. If you sent that very same memo to Elon Musk, what did you do last week? His answers might be, well, we fired a bunch of people working to stop the spread of Ebola, and we fired a bunch of people working to stop the spread of bird flu. That's what he's been up to. And frankly, if that were any other federal employee, they would deserve to be fired. But I think this is just an effort to, as bullies do, try to bully people who are working for the federal government. They just, in the House, passed this budget resolution that wants to essentially cut taxes by $4.5 trillion for their wealthiest supporters and large corporations. And to do that, they need to cut as much as they can cut. And they hope these emails so demoralize people working for the government that they'll just outright quit so they can have more money for their tax cut. This is really what's at work here.
Let me get to another sensitive subject, Senator. The House Speaker, Mike Johnson, is now warning the Senate not to make changes to the budget blueprint the House narrowly passed last night. But Senate Republicans tell CNN Republican leader John Thune says changes need to be made. How do you see all of this playing out?
Well, it's really hard to see how it plays out, but I think, we may be headed for a Trump shutdown. They very much don't have their act together, and here you have the House saying basically our way or the highway, or we're going to shut down the government. That would be adding more catastrophe, another Trump shutdown. We went through that in the first Trump administration. But look, I think they've got a very narrow margin in the House, a bit bigger margin in the Senate, and their goals are internally conflicting. They say they want to address deficits and debt, and yet they're pushing a tax cut that will only explode our deficit and debt. And you just